I wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name. Check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change. Possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints. Money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague. We all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name. All our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy, think that it was meant to be. Living in a time where disease is on every screen. I won't let them fester me, I know most are festering. Negativity is a plague for the mentally weak. No mercy, all I got is working. Never stop searching, never quench the thirsty. I'm toxic and psychotic, with this logic you can't stop it. It's been chronic since I was a boy, so neurotic and chaotic.
Built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat 'em. Make mistakes real fast, then you learn how to beat 'em. If you take off the cast, you can see all the healing. If the pain's in the past, move on from the grieving. Put your foot on the gas, no, never stop competing, yeah.
I've been doing this, I'm on it. I just wanna be iconic. Sipping on a gin and tonic, got me going off when I'm on this topic, yeah. If I ever play, I want it. You know that I'm always honest. Stay away from those who are toxic. Keep them out your face, no way, you don't want them, yeah. Don't try to drain my energy. The enemy is everything. It's mentally, unhealthily, spreading like a rare disease. But I won't let it get to me. I don't need your therapy. I can leave a legacy of leading by intensity. Come on, we can fight this. Freedom is priceless. Spread just like a virus. Living in a crisis. Do you feel courageous? Do you seek greatness? Trust me, you can take it. Go on and take your aim, yeah.
Built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat 'em. Make mistakes real fast, then you learn how to beat 'em. If you take off the cast, you can see all the healing. If the pain's in the past, move on from the grieving. Put your foot on the gas, no, never stop competing, yeah.
Just look at the culture of Kemet. The culture of Kemet is viewed through many perspectives. Some of the more popular ones have become veganism, vegetarianism, alkalinism, spiritualism, and metaphysics. The problem is, ideas such as veganism, vegetarianism, alkalinism, spirituality, and metaphysics are Western social constructs that have no representation in Kemetic thought. The people of Kemet were meat eaters. Three of the types of meats that we find heavily documented in the text are Apaju, Memenet, and Rem. Their diet restrictions against meat and fish was for ritual or ceremonial purposes. Living on the river, fish was one of the favorite meals of the people. Fishing was a popular activity. We find images of Weha, the fisherman, depicted on many temple walls, such that we know that fishing was a popular activity all throughout the history of Kemet. The Meta-Neter word Rem is translated as fish, and we find Rem represented all throughout the culture. Rem is used as offering for the Neter and themselves. This is only reasonable. For the people of the Nile Valley, The Nile River, or the Happy Itaru, as it was called in their language, was not only a major source of transportation and food, life itself was centered around the Happy Itaru. Aowe Itaru. Very great is the river. Rem Asia, with many fish. The Meta-Nature word aped and its plural form, apaju, represented ducks, geese, and birds of all kinds. The people of Kemet had a special liking for roasted birds. In the book Ancient Egypt, Discovering Its Splendor, the author illustrates the people of Kemet's interaction with the apaju of all kinds. And small birds they ate also. Egypt lies on a major migratory route for water birds, shuttling between Europe and Central and Southern Africa. Twice each year, great throngs pause on Nile marshes and lakes, resting after flights across the Mediterranean or the Sahara. In pre-dynastic days, incredible numbers, along with local wildfowl, gave Egyptians such a handy supply that there was little incentive for domesticating flocks. Old Kingdom tomb paintings show teams of men with huge nets hauling in catches. Claptraps and snares also took birds. Those captured went to the table or to fattening pens. Fluttering geese and pigeons and ducks on wall relief dating from about 2400 BC are so detailed that sometimes we can even identify the species. In Kemet, mimenet, beef, and cattle were also vital foods for people of Kemet. And once again, we see how beef was used throughout the culture, illustrated on the temple walls of Kemet. Not only in terms of labor, but in terms of iconic representation for the nature, but also for food. The problem with these European social constructs concerning what you eat, too many people rationalize their belief in these systems by giving them a foundation in Kemet. And Kemet viewed through such lenses distorts the information that our ancestors left to us. The words of Baba Jehudi Simshu, Jacob Crothers, expresses it this way: African champions must break the chain that links African ideas to European ones and listen to the voice of the ancestors without European interpretation. Too many people who support these systems develop social constructs that demonize the wrong animals. They let the humanoid animal that supports white supremacy as the norm for everybody, backed by corporate greed and a mad science perspective that belittles life, completely off the hook. In terms of spirituality, meaning other than the physical, and metaphysical, meaning beyond the physical, those concepts do not fit the manner in which African philosophical ideas are expressed. In African culture, philosophical ideas are expressed as components of nature. As components of nature, these ideas allow their shared experiences to relate deep philosophical ideas in a very simple and profound manner. African philosophical ideas, expressed as functional components of nature, enable their meanings to relate deep philosophical concepts in a very simple but profound manner. The attributes of these depictions has to be taken into consideration also. One of the best examples that illustrate the precision and the less ambiguous nature of African philosophical concepts is to examine how the tree of life is used to depict the concept of nourishment. In Kemet, we have this depiction of the king Men-Kheper-Ra, with the translation Sin-Q-F Mut-F Aset, which can be translated as he is suckled by his mother, Aset. In Kemet, the concept of nourishment is based on the feminine principle, giving it a very practical expression and appeal. And it also shows how that the concept of complementarity, is always included in Kemetic philosophical thought. If you notice, the symbol for Aset is also the symbol for the throne of the country. Aset represents the primary feminine principle. By way of Aset, the throne of Kemet is also tied to the lap of the mother. Such symbolism also denotes the throne as the primary seat of nourishment for the nation. Wasir, a primary masculine nature, has the symbol of Aset as a part of his name. This balance of complementarity is often missed, and thus is seldom a focus when we look at Kemetic thought. Too often, when we look at a scene like the following, the focus is on the insubiti and not the total composition. From such a perspective, we can see the complementarity aspect of Kemetic thought is always expressed. Here we have the Kemetic tree of life, showing the feminine nature of the tree by the nature of its breast, having the breast to symbolically represent the nourishing aspect of the tree. And by the use of the breast, the notion of the tree providing nourishment is obvious, based on our shared experiences of being nursed by our mothers. The particular tree used here is the Nahat tree, or the sycamore tree. In order to attain a deeper understanding of the culture, even the attributes of the particular trees used needs to be examined also. Next to it, we have the so-called tree of life from the Kabbalah, which is basically a flowchart. Both symbols are representative of the cultures that produce them. In one, humans are seen as interacting with a living nature. Nature viewed as a living entity. A major focus becomes the characteristics and attributes of that entity. In the other one, the focus is a man, and nature is rendered into invisibility. The feminine aspect is noted by the egg that the man is encased in. But when this symbol is interpreted, the focus is not even on the man or the egg, the two most obvious components of nature. This reduction down to this abstract flowchart removes all intimate connection to nature, and instead it becomes focused on these circles and lines. They operate more on an archetypical type of level. The chart's focus on the circles and lines do not provide the descriptive nor the emotional impact that the image of a breast in your mouth does. Because of the hierarchical positioning of the circles, this symbol, when given philosophical expression, is usually detailed in an oppositional manner in which the upper circles are discussed and viewed as functioning in opposition to the lower circles. The result being one's gonads and mental aspects are all depicted as being oppositional and combative. African systems, based on complementarity, seeks to harmonize these two aspects of the human being. And this can be seen from these diagrams from the Congo. This diagram, being based on the circuit of the sun, the Kalunga line, is conceptualized as the imaginary line that separates night from day. It shows how intimate the spiritual world is to the physical world in an African worldview. So we can see from these diagrams that the physical and spiritual world stands on equal footing. We turn to Kemet to understand this African ontological concept. In Kemet, the congruent relationship between the physical and spiritual worlds is often depicted when one is represented as the inverse of the other. Also, in Kemet, the concept of the double ma'at, the ma'ati, the two truths. In this depiction, we have the physical and spiritual worlds represented as truths. In Western European philosophical systems, the spiritual world is usually seen as being above, over, and better and more desired than the physical world. These systems put these two diverse aspects of the human being into internal warfare, which is not good for the individual. Another important aspect of these African philosophical systems is that they put humans and nature on equal footings, in that human beings are depicted as another functional component of nature. Thus, these African systems remove nature from the object other than status that Western philosophical systems has rendered it. The purpose of many African rituals is for the individual to maintain a spiritual status that they are. and then using African philosophical ideas and social constructs by African thinkers to understand and engage reality.